2, 1.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning. Today, I'm joined by with Jim Arney. As you recall, since we're all in the heat of tax season, Jim keeps a nice watchful eye for us down in Annapolis. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Sandy.
Well, we've completed 3 weeks of the legislative session, and then we're coming out of the gate hard. I'm telling you.
Fast as lightning.
As of Tuesday, there was 1,120 bills already filed. That was 489 on the Senate side and 631 on the House. Now, how do you feel this compares to prior years?
Are you ready for this?
No, I'm not sure I am.
This time last year, there were 135 House bills.
Oh, my God.
And 266 Senate bills filed for 401 total. This is almost 3 times as many.
Oh, my gosh.
And also last year, there were a little over 2,400 bills filed total. Right now, we're close to 50% of what that was. Now, that being said, you have to remember that last year was the first year for 61 members of the General Assembly. Yeah. And that's traditionally a light year. They only did about 2,400 bills. Normally, it's between 3,000 and 3,200.
Wow.
But I knew they were going to go fast right from the start because they convened at noon on January the 8th,
right,
introduced the bills, and the next day, Budget and Tax had hearings.
That's true, they did.
Couldn't believe it.
Wow, I'm telling you. Like I said, when you say they're coming out hard, they are coming out hard. Now, do you think we're peaking early and then going to drop off, or what's your thought?
I think they're doing this because I think a lot of time is going to be spent on Kerwin Commission.
Okay. Now, have we seen anything? I mean, I know we've seen some bills, but anything, I know that we have the education. That's going to be a big part of that, Kerwin.
Absolutely.
And that's really not ones that we watch too much. Have we seen anything with the Kerwin with the tax side of it yet?
Not from the tax side, but I think the main thing is they're looking for money,
right,
to be able to put forth towards Kerwin.
Now, we had this conversation offline. Now, the Kerwin Commission, it was like a 10-year plan, if I recall.
Yes.
And so the first 2 years have been paid for, apparently. They already have funding for that. So what we're looking for, what the General Assembly is looking for, is for the 3 to 10 years
correct
funding for it. Is that correct? I think that's what we had discussed.
Yes.
So it's not really something that's going to happen this year. It's like something that's going to be happening in the 3rd year part of it. So, wow. So now, just for their audience, now just give a process. So we have a team here at the Society office, and what we do, you put together a listing of all the tax bills that we feel would affect our membership, whether that be, tax, property tax, sales and use tax, regulatory, and then you comprise a report from that.
Correct.
And then then there's a group of volunteers that look it over.
Yes.
And so take it from there. So then what happens from that?
Well, once that's completed, every Friday, I review every day. The House and the Senate can introduce bills, and I say can because not every day will a House introduce bills. They can skip a day. They don't have to. But every morning I go into the website and I look to see if there's what they call a synopsis or a listing of the bills that's going to be introduced that day. And I review each bill by title.
Okay.
On the synopsis. It has the bill number, the primary sponsor, the short title, and then a very generic general description.
Okay.
But most of the time from the short title, you can tell if it's something that we want to look at. It might say income tax subtraction modification or a commission tax study, sales and use tax. It's got something in there that, I will note, okay, and then I will add those to those lists that you spoke about earlier. Every Friday, I then send to MSATP, you and Kelly, and a list or a copy of each report with all of the bills under each category.
Right. And then what are we doing? 7? Is it 7? 9 categories. Okay,
categories.
9 categories. Okay.
And I send that to Kelly. And then she distributes each category listing to an individual that's volunteered to
Right.
review the bills for that week and then give us a recommendation whether no action is required
Mm-hmm.
or we want to track a bill. We've got some interest in it. We just want to track it to know what the status, or if they feel that we should take a position on a bill, either in favor of or
Supporting or
opposed.
opposing. Yes. So, well, that's really great. And like I said, this is all volunteers
Correct.
that are doing this for us. And then they in turn send a report to the chair. No, I'm sorry. I should say team leader.
Team leader.
That's Moshe. And then Moshe does a second check, and then at that point, then we develop a listing of, okay, these are the ones we really want to focus on.
Correct.
So, which is great. So we, so right now from the 1,120 bills that have been passed, how many are we actually focusing on right now? Do you know?
We've reviewed, I went back and tried to convert it over through yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We have 89 bills listed. This time last year, we had 79
Okay.
that we've looked at. And we're tracking right now, I want to say about 16 bills.
Okay.
Well, actually 19, because
19.
3 of them we're taking a position on.
Positional. Okay. So so House Bill 196, which is the Maryland Health Benefit Exchange, which has established the state-based health insurance subsidies. Are we tracking that one at all?
No,
No. Okay. So, okay, that was great. Now, then we have the fingerprint requirement.
right.
And really that bill, I mean, I know that was brought up to the top, and all that is that if you get your fingerprint done for one license, you don't have to go back and do it, because once it's on file, it should be on file.
Exactly.
So which is great, because that's some time savings.
Well, that's time saving and it's cost savings, because there's a fee when you get fingerprinted. It's like $20, I believe.
Right.
But then you don't have to pay that fee. But the main thing is it's duplication.
Right.
You keep doing it over and over for the same individual.
Right.
They're not going to change.
Especially when you're doing it for the same government office building, hopefully
Exactly.
they can share that information.
Right.
Now, one of the bills that actually we're right, I should have said this at the beginning, we're actually down here in Annapolis today. We're at Frost and Associates. Shout out to Frost and Associates. Thank you for letting us use your conference room. We're actually down here because we're going to be going and testifying on Senate Bill 223 today.
Correct.
And so what that is, that establishes a commission on tax policy reform and fairness. And that is going to be enacted sometime in June of 2020. And it has to be, per the bill, it has to terminate after June 30th of 2022. So it's a commission that's actually going to be looking at the actual tax, how the taxes are based in Maryland. Is that did I explain that correctly?
It's looking at our tax structure, credits, exemption values,
Right.
and the whole ball of wax, so to speak.
Right. And the reason for this is, they said the tax structure was put in place in their early 40s, 1940, 45, somewhere down there. And at that time, Maryland was an industrial state.
Manufacturing.
And a lot of manufacturing here. We had Bethlehem Steel,
Right.
and all that. And now Maryland has sort of done a 360, and now we're more of a service state.
Correct.
And so that's one of the reasons why they're taking a look at this. And what are your thoughts on that? Do you think this is a good idea?
Yes, I do. I think it's needed because things are totally different.
Yep.
And we're still operating under the old premise.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very valuable. It's a shame. I mean, when I looked at the background of this bill, you would be surprised at how many times this bill has been introduced and died.
Yes. And it was interesting. And so the reason why we're testifying on this bill, that we would like to make sure that we're a part of that commission, and so that we're listed in the bill, because we feel it's very important that MSATP has a seat at the table where
Right.
they're going through this process, because our members, not only do we represent thousands of individuals in the state of Maryland, we represent hundreds of businesses. And so
Oh, yeah.
this is,
Absolutely.
so we want to make sure that our voice is heard. So
Absolutely.
that's one of the reasons. So let's see, is there any other one that you think we should touch on?
Well, I guess we're going to talk about the one bill that you have noted about the Personal Information Protection Act.
Oh, that's the cybersecurity sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting bill, and I guess my concern is because there is law in place in which you have to notify your clients if your data is stolen, or a hacker gets into your files, that you have 45 days to make notice of this. And one of the changes they're doing here is bringing that to 10 days, which I think is pretty aggressive.
Well, I agree, but I went back and read the bill again last night,
Okay.
and there's a couple of segments, and I'm not clear in my mind what differentiates. The first one, the old law was if you own or license
Mm-hmm.
software and there's a breach, the old law said you had 45 days.
Right.
This bill is reducing that 45 days to 30.
Okay.
Now, the second portion of that is a business that maintains computerized
Oh, so
data.
that was the 45 to 10. Was that the 45 to
And
10?
that's the one that's dropping from 45 to 10.
Gotcha. Okay. But still, that's a big jump. That is a big difference between 45 days to 10 and 45 days to 15.
But what that's saying is you maintain it. You
Right.
don't own it and you're not the licensee.
Right.
Then you become aware that, say, there was a breach.
Mm-hmm.
You've got 10 days to notify the company that owns that software or has the license for that software.
Okay.
It's not to notify the individuals that may have had their information breached at that time.
But like I said, though, my argument was, what happens if it's after tax season? I've gone away for 2 weeks, which is 10 days, and I don't even realize I'm already in breach of that because I didn't even know it was happening.
Well, I think there's maybe an interpretation because the way the bill reads as written, that the notice shall be given as soon as reasonably practical. And it does say, but not later than 10 days after the business discovers.
Okay.
So
So,
if you're on
okay.
vacation
So at the
and you're
time
not
of
aware of it,
discovery. Okay.
and you're not aware of it until you return, then I think that would make the clock start to
At that
tick
point in time.
At that point.
Okay. Wow. Always in the words, huh? I'm telling you.
You've got to read every little word.
Every little word. Wow. And I guess the other part of that one, I was having trouble with major media outlet that you needed to notify major media outlets. And I really like to see what the definition of a major media outlet is, because they really didn't define that in the law.
No, they didn't.
And I'd like to know, because that could be a huge cost,
Absolutely.
as a business owner. So that was the other one that I really like to see going on. So again, a lot of things happening. We're seeing a lot of news coverage on the military retirement subtraction for that Governor Hogan put out there.
Correct.
So I haven't really had a chance to look at that in detail. So I'm going to take a look at that one and see how that pans out.
Governor Hogan's bill is providing a provision that you can subtract all of it, but it's taking 2 years to get there.
To the 100,000.
No, this is not the 100,000.
Oh,
That's
okay.
not the retirement, his retirement bill. Right now, if a retiree from the military
Right.
is under the age of 55, they can subtract 5,000 of their retirement income.
Gotcha.
If they're 55 or older, they can subtract 15,000.
15,000. Okay.
So what Governor Hogan's bill does, it says that it takes out the age
Oh,
provision
okay.
and says if you're a military retiree, the first year you take the greater of the 15,000 that some of them are already getting now, those are over 55, or 50%
Of
of your
the
retirement,
of the actual.
of your military retirement,
Okay.
whichever is greater.
Gotcha.
And then the second year, you take 100% of your retirement. Now, there's another bill in that's very similar, and it's spreading it over 3 years.
3 years. Wow. That is one thing, because we also talked about this offline too, that some of these bills are saying the same thing. It just has very small tweaks in it.
Right.
And so, which it seems to bog down the process, if you ask me. It really does. And that you said that there was actually a bill out there that will limit the number of bills that the legislators can support. Is that another
Not
one?
support, but
Put in?
introduce.
Okay.
Yeah. And that number was 20. I don't know if they'll buy into that or not, but yeah, I guess if someone submits a bill and another member of the General Assembly reads it, maybe they think they've got a better version
Mhm.
or trying to expand, say Governor Hogan's is 2 years, the other individual's
It's
doing it over
3.
3 years, so that's reducing the impact or the cost,
The fiscal
spreading it
note.
out
Yeah, the fiscal note.
over a longer period
Period.
of time. So maybe they feel that that's got a better chance of getting passed. Who knows?
Yep. Oh, again, we'll just keep a watchful eye on that. So as you can see from our conversation here with Jim, the committee and Jim is very busy down here in Annapolis. I want to thank Jim. What? Oh, you got something
Well,
else?
on that one bill you were talking about, Governor Hogan's bill
Yes,
for the 100,000.
the 100,000. That's the one I was talking about. Yes.
You can take, and it's spread out over, I think, 3 years also, but you will be able to exclude income up to $100,000
Mhm.
if your income is not over $100,000. So if you're making 110,000, you're automatically disqualified. You've got to just
Well, shoot, if you make 101, you're 100,001, you're disqualified.
exactly.
Wow.
So that was the caveat that
Yes.
mostly affects that bill, is there is a restriction.
Restriction
or a
on
limit,
it,
I should
limit.
say.
Again, a lot of good information. And again, Jim, thank you so much for keeping that watchful eye for us
Thank
down
you.
here in Annapolis. And also, I want to thank all the volunteers
Yes,
and the job that they do, because as we all know, we're all doing in the middle of tax season, and for them to be doing this during their busiest time, kudos to them and
Absolutely.
kudos to you. Thank you so much. Now, there's a couple other items that I'd like to share with you. Either late today or first thing tomorrow, you're going to be receiving a email from us. So even though you're busy in tax season, we know there's topics that are really pretty hot. And so we're working with Frost & Associates, and we're going to be putting together a free seminar every month.
wow.
And actually, there's going to be 2 in February and 1 in March. And on a specific topic. So keep an eye on your emails, and coming in your inbox. Again, it's free. It's usually a 1 or 2 hour event, and you also get a light dinner. And we're also doing it per the request of the membership. We're moving it not out of Annapolis, but we're also having one in Columbia and also Owings Mills. So just keep an eye on that. And if you don't get it, just look at our website, www.msatp.org. Now, also, I wanted, this is always great to hear. So back in December, we did a show on December 17th. I was about that Maryland credit for cybersecurity. We were just talking about the cybersecurity,
Mhm.
the bill, about how if you did some upgrades that you could get a credit, but you had to apply for it.
Right.
Now, so at that time in December, we did show the period in which you could apply was over.
Mhm.
So what we're looking for is 2020 right now. So one of our members had applied before the cutoff, and she just received her certificate, and she got a credit of $4,361 from the state of Maryland. That's
Super.
big money.
That is big.
That's big money. So once again, hey, if you haven't done it, I know you didn't do it in 2019. It's still available in 2020. These are the kind of savings that you could have or possibly have. It depends on what you're doing. And what we're going to be doing is putting the link about the information and how you get applied and for the application and everything in the notes section of the screen. So make sure you look at that. Now for next week we're going to have Cliff and Jay from Daily Solutions, and they're going to be talking about another member benefit that we're doing, and that is with office as well as toners. And so we look forward to having them with us next week.
Great.
Okay, well, until next week, everyone, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon. And Jim, off to Annapolis. Head down to the State House.
Here we go.
Here we go.